time for the final game in the ACC regular season. Surging upstart Georgia Tech against Virginia at home on senior night in a must-win game for its NCAA Tournament hopes. Alongside Randolph Childress, I'm Mike Monaco. The Cavaliers in the white at home in the hands of Reece Beekman on senior night, part of a big point guard matchup. Randolph between him and Nate George.
It is. I think two of the better point guards in the ACC. And Reece Beekman is, I think, as good a two-way guard there is in the country.
Minor trying to drop it off, but he got picked by Baye Ndongo, one of the youngsters in the starting lineup for Damon Stoudemire, along with George, the point guard, 2 in the gold, and then Miles Kelly, 13, with it up top, the leading scorer for the Jackets at 14 and 16 overall. 7 and 12 in the ACC. They're going to be either the 12 or the 13 seed in Washington, D.C. They turn it over, and a couple of empty possessions for the Jackets. Meanwhile, we check out the Virginia starting lineup, and Jake Groves, the Oklahoma transfer, gets in there on senior night.
Early sign here for Georgia Tech is you got to take care of the basketball. Against Virginia, you got to get shots up. You got to get shots up no matter what. A couple empty possessions here.
Here's Reece Beekman. Sticks a three. He got a rousing ovation when he was recognized on this senior night just moments ago.
He's going to be missed here. He's had such a great career here, and with another steal.
In transition, Groves the trailer, and Virginia will reset it. Groves off the shot fake. Jordan Minor lost it on the way up, and it goes back to Georgia Tech. Well, how about Georgia Tech? They're on a 3-game winning streak. They've won 4 out of 5. They just beat Wake, and you saw how hard Wake is to beat in Winston-Salem. Only time the Demon Deacons have lost in Winston-Salem at the Joel was Tuesday, thanks to Baye Ndongo.
Well, Georgia Tech is learning how to win. And when you're young and you come in, and some of these veteran guys haven't won yet, never accustomed to losing games, and Stoudemire's coming in, changing things up. He struck gold with these 2 freshmen he have. I think they're really good. And they're starting to figure things out. He put the ball in his hands of his 2 best freshmen. And things have always gone well for him when he's done that. So look for him to continue to put the ball in Nate George's hand and put he and Ndongo in ball screens.
Here is Kelly. The Georgia Tech high-end conference wins better than anyone's in the ACC. Triple came up short for Tafara Gapari, the sophomore UMass transfer, who's been excellent recently. Beekman off the hesitation, left the runner short, and Kawasi Reeves gets out and runs and lays it in. Georgia Tech's on the board.
Great job there, pushing tempo. We talked about George giving it up early. For Virginia Cavaliers team that doesn't give a lot of transition baskets, whenever you can get them, you got to take advantage of it.
Careful, we're not in the Commonwealth Clash. Isaac McKneely, no. Rebound, Kawasi Reeves.
I want to get out of the building. I don't want to make that mistake.
Gapari off the bounce. He's been excellent recently, and he slipped it to Ndongo.
Earlier in the year, they started with a bigger body. Now Ndongo's more comfortable. So now starting Gapari is another experienced guy, capable with length, really skilled, puts pressure on you off the bounce like that. The biggest difference for him is he makes his on the defensive end of the floor. You see him now clogging up the lane with his length.
He's matched up on Buchanan. Shot clock winding down. Beekman got by Kelly and got it to go. Second bucket for Reece Beekman. What a season he's had.
He's put this team on his back. They would just be so lost without him.
Ndongo in the short roll. You love what he can do in that spot.
No one plays better in the middle ball screen than Georgia Tech. You know it's coming. You just can't stop it because you got a guy who's 6'9" with great hands and good feet, and he's a really good passer. So catching and shooting that floater or skipping it to the weak side 3.
Georgia Tech is sagging way off of Ryan Dunn, so he attacks, spins, and scores.
He has to do more of that. And sooner or later, he's going to have to make a jump shot. They're going to force him to make a shot.
He's only made 7 threes all season. The projected first-round pick, who is 24th on our ESPN draft board. Here is Ndongo, one of the best freshmen in the league this year, with the shot clock winding down, and Buchanan gets whistled for the foul with 8 seconds left on the shot clock. Just getting started in the final ACC regular season game of the year. Glad you're with us in Charlottesville.
When you're great, your game does the talking. In the ACC, ours speaks volumes. 3 of the last 8 NCAA championships. 99 NCAA tournament wins since 2015. 8 NCAA titles in the
Virginia is locked into a double bye in next week's ACC tournament in Washington, D.C. They can be the 3 or the 4, and Clemson and Pitt, even though Clemson just lost at Wake Forest, still alive for a double bye. Pitt playing right now, it's as simple as if they win, they get a double bye next week.
Yeah, so it's pretty simple. For Pittsburgh, you win, you're in. If not, Clemson, who lost tonight, got a chance to get it. For Virginia, it's win in the 3rd seed. If they lose, they're the 4th seed. So
you do have all that. You're good with that.
I finally got it.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter. For UVA, I think they need to win because they just need to continue to stay off the bubble and continue to build some momentum as they get ready for the ACC tournament and the NCAAs as well.
Yeah, very important. And Tony Bennett said just that to us earlier today at shoot-around. Ndongo goes spinning on Ryan Dunn and scores, and those two had a fun and at times chippy matchup in the first meeting between these teams back on the flats.
They have, and Ndongo went right at him inside.
Well, this is the bracketology that we're talking about. Lenardi's latest update. We're getting the emails at all hours of the day. Second to last team into the field.
Yeah.
Villanova nearly came back against Creighton earlier today. Last touch by Ryan Dunn.
And if you UVA, you just want to take care of business. You know, just take care of business at home. No complacency here. You know you had the double bye, but you need to continue momentum. And Tony Bennett shared that today with us. He just thinks his team needs to take care of business tonight and build some momentum as they get ready for the ACC tournament, which he expects this team to get in and play well.
And they haven't played since last Saturday at Cameron, that 73-48 loss where they only scored 18 points in the first half. So Tony Bennett told us today, gave his team a couple of days off, and his message was one of encouragement to them, and the positioning they're still sitting in. Ryan Dunn pried it away from Baye Ndongo, and it's a Georgia Tech turnover, their 3rd already.
Ndongo won the previous possession, and Dunn reminded him why he's in the ACC Defensive Player of the Year running. Said, I don't need any help. I got him one-on-one and creates turnover.
Groves stroking it from deep this year at 48%.
I think when his feet set, as good as McKneely is as a shooter, I think Groves even better.
He's got a pretty stroke. 6'9" 4-man at his 3rd school. Started as a walk-on at Eastern Washington. Now senior night in Charlottesville. Gapari's been big for them recently. Been in the starting lineup the last month, and over the last 5 games averaging 9 and 7.
He opens up the floor. His ability as a big to not only clog the paint, but he's so mobile. At that time he catches it, he drives it, and it's another reason why this team is starting to play their best basketball, because he's become an offensive weapon at that center spot that they didn't have before.
Tain Murray had that one to rim out. Gapari clears it. Jackets have made their last 5 shots. Here's Kelly. Boy, he was big Tuesday in that win at the Joel in Winston-Salem. Knocked down 5 threes.
Great tip there by Reece Beekman. He couldn't get it. Ndongo had the inside position, and guard cracked down on the defense and tipped it to a teammate.
McKneely can't connect. Isaac McKneely 0 for 2 from deep, 45% from 3 this year at 12 points per game.
Ball's got to move against Virginia. You got to have ball movement and body movement. They're going to sit in those gaps, and you can't settle for jump shots as well. It's got to try to find a way either by dribble penetration or by post up to get the ball in the paint.
It was a settled jumper there from Kyle Sturdivant. Pick and pop. Groves. Wide open, missed it, but gets it back. And now Dunn will slow things down and back into the hands of Beekman as we get a whistle from Lee Cassell.
Georgia Tech benefited from that timeout. They gave up an offensive rebound and never matched up.
And the 71st annual ACC men's tournament starts Tuesday afternoon at Capital One Arena in D.C. All 3 first-round games for you right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. Georgia Tech at the outset of the day could have been as high as the 11 or as low as the 14. We told you now it's going to be either the 12 or the 13 for the Jackets. McKneely got stripped. George at the controls. And Debo Coleman pulls it out in transition.
It's a big moment for Virginia team. They have struggled when Reece Beekman's not in the game and how to create offense.
Tough shot, Nate George. How about this kid?
He's just so talented. If you hadn't seen him before, you're in for a treat. Just a really tough, skilled, just wise beyond his years.
Late bloomer who has stepped onto the scene in a major way in Midtown Atlanta this year as a rookie in this league, playing for Damon Stoudemire. Jackets by 2. Murray attacks and finishes with the right hand.
Great job there. Debo Coleman was between he and the basket, got to his dominant hand and able to finish.
Baseline cut, what a block from Ryan Dunn on Tafara Gapari. That was loud.
Not many weak side shot blockers in the country better than this guy at his size.
McKneely wanted a foul, didn't get it. Gapari went straight up. We're going to get into the discussion. Reece Beekman or Ryan Dunn for ACC Defensive Player of the Year. There's a good case on both sides.
No, you're going to get into the discussion. I'm going to stick with my vote early. I'm not changing my opinion.
We will present the facts. That's what we do. Gapari skips it. Got to be careful doing that against Beekman, but he's not in the game right now. Harris is in there, hounding Coleman. George Hoyce comes up empty and secured by Murray. Now they're going to keep this with Georgia Tech, they say, and Tony Bennett is not happy. How about this block?
Just get that out of here.
Ryan Dunn leads the ACC in blocks per game. Reece Beekman second in the ACC in steals per game. Answer me this: is it absolutely one of the two who is Defensive Player of the Year in the ACC?
I don't think that's much of an argument.
Okay.
I think it's one of these two guys, and I think we're going to have a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year that we hadn't had since, what, John Henson and Sheldon Williams of Duke?
Those are the only two ever to go back to back. It's our Food Lion food for thought. You see the numbers and those ranks for both these guys. So you think it's Beekman, no question?
I say it's Beekman because it's not an offensive category. I think his defensive pressure on the ball. I think Ryan Dunn does a great job off the ball, coming up with shot blocking, but Reece Beekman's defense on the ball is not many guys can do that.
Can't go wrong either way, right?
No.
And Leon Bond said it earlier this year. I think we have the 2 best defenders in the country. Now, we asked the question to some of the Virginia coaches, and they did go with Reece Beekman, though they said Ryan Dunn has a great case. It's not necessarily a landslide, but from their mouths, they think it's Reece Beekman.
Well, when you have guys that can, you see Reece Beekman now, when you have a guy that they're both versatile defenders, but the difference is there's not a lot of guys that can stay in front of the basketball off the dribble, and Reece Beekman does that as well as anyone in the country. I think he and Jamal Shad are the 2 best two-way point guards in college basketball, and I don't think it's close.
Here is Beekman. Groves comes up short, and the rebound to Debo Coleman. We're locked at 12. We're 10 minutes in the final ACC game of the regular season. Here's Nate George working on Dante Harris. Buchanan clears it.
Now Dante Harris is another really good on-ball defender. And when he comes in, his emergence to this team is important because he allows Reece Beekman to be off the ball and attack you from a different angle.
Good shot fake from Tane Murray, and he buries the triple.
Now, you and I talked about this in shoot-around, and I told you, every time he shoots, I think it's going in.
You love his form.
I love his fundamental setup.
He had only taken 28 threes coming into tonight, but had made nearly half of them. 13 for 28 for the junior from New Zealand, who's got 5 for Virginia. And there's an answer from Kyle Sturdivant, the 5th-year senior. When they've won big games, he's been massive.
His experience and his ability to knock down shots. He's shooting over 39% from behind the arc. They are not in the position where they are this late in the year with the confidence they have without him. Sturdivant's been invaluable to this young Yellow Jacket squad.
Vocal, one of the leaders on this team. He got it underneath to Ty Clodd. And now Nate George. Up top, Kawasi Reeves. Missed it from straight on, and Harris the rebound. First meeting between these teams, tightly played game January 20th. Virginia won it by 9, but Georgia Tech led by as many as 11 in the first half. Buchanan on the baseline.
Great job by Beekman, keeping his defender on his hip, forcing rotation and dropping it off for the freshman.
He's really improved offensively. Tony Bennett said to us he thinks he's underrated and underappreciated both in this conference and nationally. And they force another turnover from Georgia Tech. Beekman off the fake. He attacks. And we'll go to the line for 2 with the foul on Kawasi Reeves. Tightly contested again. Between it with 0.4 of a second to go against Wake Forest.
And just what we talked about. Just a play, you put your 2 freshmen. I did ask Nate George, were you supposed to get that handoff? He said yes, but he forgave his big guy for finishing, obviously, the game-winning shot. Those 2 guys have just grown so much over the course of the season, and Baye Ndongo's just been really underrated, I think, nationally for what he's been able to do.
Damon Stoudemire after the game said, we've proven we can play with any given team on any given night. And you look at the wins that his team has, 7 of them in ACC play. They're the only team that has beat Carolina, Duke, and Clemson, and they also have that win against Wake. So that's the 4 top teams in the ACC in the net rankings. Georgia Tech has wins against all of them.
Well, when you are young and you have an inexperienced team, you get up for those games. You get up for the Dukes, the Carolinas, and then you drop your guard when you're playing against teams in the middle of the pack or not such big names, and that's what you get when you're learning how to win. And I think that's what this program is right now, when you're starting to see this team figure that out here.
You asked Damon Stoudemire what's different. He said we're playing together and we're getting payback for some of the work we put in, some of the teaching we tried to do earlier in the season, and our guys are understanding it.
And learning how to win is a process. You got to go through.
Here's Ndongo. Couldn't get it to go over the top of the 6'11" Buchanan.
And sometimes learning how to win is just learning what you can do and what you can't do.
There's a lot that Georgia Tech can do and has done recently. It's a flare for Harris. Takes Gapari off the bounce. Nearly lost it, but recovered to Buchanan. Late shot clock in the hands of McKneely. And now Beekman matched up with Kelly. Kick for Harris. Got blocked by Gapari. How about that?
Look at the ground he covered using his length.
Damon Stoudemire has raved about the defensive impact that Tafara Gapari has made for the Jackets. Ndongo lost it, and that's turnover number 7 for Georgia Tech, and you cannot do that against Virginia.
That's the one thing you got to do. You got to take care of the basketball. You just got to get shots up.
Beekman cans it. Second 3 for Reece Beekman, and the lead at 6, as large as it's been for the Hoos tonight.
I expect a show out of him. His senior night, it always means more. You know the end is near. He's just been such a heck of a player.
Ndongo nearly lost it. Shot clock below 10 again for Georgia Tech, with Ndongo driving. And we've got a foul. Tony Bennett wanted to travel instead. So to about 15,000 here in JPJ.
It's 15,001 because I thought he traveled as well. That's one of the longer Euro steps, or just steps you're going to get. I think maybe they didn't want to call a foul on Harris. Sometimes you don't want to call a foul. You just let the play happen. But
and Damon Stoudemire will take a timeout, which allows Tony Bennett more time to plead his case. We'll take 30 seconds as time to plead his case. He was not pleased with the call, but it ended up in a foul called on Blake Buchanan, his second.
I think, yeah, I mean, that's a tough call there. Good defense on the freshman. Buchanan, now you got to take him out of the game, picking up his second foul.
So it's Dunn, Groves, Murray, McKneely, and Beekman for Virginia. And Baye Ndongo at the line. 12 points, 8 rebounds a game this year on 56% shooting. number 3 freshman in the country in rebounding and field goal percentage, and could be the first freshman to lead Georgia Tech in rebounding average since Chris Bosh 20 years ago.
You know you're in a good category when you mention with Chris Bosh, but if you watch him play, just so fluid and so skilled, doesn't get sped up. He's showing you his skill set here, posting up, driving you from the perimeter. They got to try to get him the ball more in the middle of the floor in that middle ball screen. It puts every defense in a difficult situation. Virginia's great on side ball screens. You got to keep the ball in the middle of the floor against them if you can.
Ndongo's got 8 of the 17 for Georgia Tech within 4. Inside of 6 to go in this first half. Beekman off a screen. And now McKneely runs off one. A flare for Beekman. He rises. Can't hit. And the rebound to Gapari.
The Yellow Jackets have improved. One of their improvements has been on the defensive end of the floor. They're really fighting Virginia through screens, getting physical, but they got to take care of the basketball on the offensive end of the floor. They're killing themselves right now with their 8th turnover here in the first half.
Come in with the worst turnover margin in the ACC, and it's been problematic early on for Damon Stoudemire's team. Murray attacking Murphy, gets the roll. How about the boost Tane Murray's given with 7 in this first half? Guy who had just 3 points total in the last 3 games.
He's doing a great job, and he's known as a 3-point shooter, and they're closing out to him, trying to run him off the line. He's doing a great job of getting to a strong hand and driving at the paint, finishing.
Known as a tireless worker in this program. Gapari saw the opening, and he draws a foul. It'll be the first on Dunn. Tony Bennett was getting involved here. Check out the form on the pass. You're always a coach.
That's textbook, baby. Thumbs down, two-hand chest pass by Tony, snapping it. Tony was a point guard back in the day.
A little extra zest behind that one. Gapari to the line. Told you what he's done recently. He was really good against Wake on Tuesday. 11 points, 6 rebounds for a guy who committed to George Washington, then to DePaul, then reclassified, went to UMass, and now in year 1 with the Yellow Jackets.
And his length and athleticism and that tandem now with Ndongo, what they do in that ball screen, now they're able to catch it and drive it. And what you saw in that last play, they're going to put pressure on you. So that big man, Buchanan and Dunn and those forwards for UVA have to stop the ball screen and really get back in front of the basketball to help out and cut the ball off on that short roll.
Georgia Tech's gone 4.5 minutes without a made field goal, but some work at the free throw line. They're within 5. McKneely backs it out, shadowed by George. Murray running off a screen from Dunn in the mid-range. Left it short.
Tony Bennett's got to be pleased on the offensive end of the floor. If Ndongo gets going here, let's see if they'll come double and see how he handles that. But right now they're leaving a one-on-one with Dunn.
And Ndongo turned it over. It's his 3rd turnover of the 9 for Georgia Tech. And here's Dunn kicking it out. Extra pass. It's Groves. Hits a 3. And Dunn and Gapari are both down in the paint.
I think Gapari got the worst of that exchange there. Dunn's waving to the bench that he's okay.
We will check on both guys when we come back. Dunn to the bench, Gapari to his feet as well late in the first half.
Champ Week is here. We move faster.
Wow, they are putting it on.
Fueled by more fire.
My goodness.
And we won't let up till hardware is won.
Feels like
It's here for Ryan Dunn in a couple of ways, and also for Tafara Gapari. Both guys are up, and Dunn is staying in the game at least for Virginia. Watch his right ankle.
And then he falls, and Gapari falls on that same ankle.
And up the leg a little bit as well.
He's a tough guy, he stays in it. Both guys are out there. Great to be young and flexible.
Whew, no kidding.
I'm hurt just looking at it.
Talk about pliability.
Oh, man. And they're both staying out, yeah.
Well, two guys, as we mentioned, in their sophomore seasons, making a big impact for their team. And it's Ryan Dunn's Cavaliers up by 8 with a little over 4 to go in this first half. In the final game of the ACC regular season and the last of 7 games today across the league. Jackets have won 4 out of 5. Virginia has dropped 4 of 6. Trying to grab the 3 seed in next week's ACC tournament. Kelly going to work on McKneely and had it roll off. Ndongo battled for it, but secured by Groves. And Kelly is still scoreless. Came in averaging about 15 a game.
I thought he did a great job there, driving, creating space there. Just couldn't finish. And he's got to get himself going, and his team needs him offensively.
Beekman got a little space, and from the elbow sticks the jump shot. Reece Beekman's got 11 in the first half.
Dunn's coming up noticeably limping right now.
He's coming at his left kneecap. Carter Murphy's getting some run for Georgia Tech, maybe trying to inject some offense for Damon Stoudemire's group that has missed 9 of its last 11 shots from the floor. Here's Murphy. The transfer gave it up to George. Off the screen, the hesitation, the floater, and the follow for Baye Ndongo. He's got 10.
Yeah, if I'm Nate George, you got to get him. You got to get a screen, even if it's guard-to-guard screen. He's playing against arguably the best on-ball defender in the country. He's going to have a difficult time trying to beat Reece Beekman off the bounce. Get another guard screen, attack someone else off the bounce. He'll get more success and be able to create for his teammates.
Now Ryan Dunn is checking out, to your point, grimacing as he goes down the bench.
He waved to the bench on his last possession. Jason Williford looked over at Tony Bennett and told him, we need to get Dunn out of the game, and the trainer's checking him out.
So he goes out with 2:43 left in this first half. And Virginia up by 8. Here's Minor being pushed out by Ndongo. McKneely shut off the bounce by George. Beekman defended by Kelly, or Gapari rather. Beekman still with it. Muscles one up and gets the roll.
He does so much for this team. He's going to need some help on the offensive end of the floor right now. He just wills this team, taking the toughest assignment on the defensive end of the floor. And they don't have any other guy out there now that can create off the bounce. So when the shot clock gets low, they got to put the ball in his hand and tell him go make a play.
George answers with a baseline jump shot, his second bucket, and a much-needed answer. Hey, coming up on the Auto Owners Insurance halftime report, first half reaction from this one with Kelsey, Luke, and Joel. And of course, we will go into what's going on at Cameron. Carolina at last look leading that game.
There's a game going on there?
Yeah.
You didn't know?
McKneely for 3. 6th triple of this first half for Virginia. First one from Isaac McKneely, their best marksman. Murphy. Deep one doesn't drop, and the lead is 11, approaching the final minute of the half. Pick and roll, Minor on the reverse.
They're getting everything now, and that's dangerous when you're playing against Virginia. You can't give up layups, threes, and the mid-range jump shots, and they're getting them all right now.
Are you surprised no timeout yet?
No.
George pulls up, sticks it.
That freshman is just wise beyond his years, and Stoudemire gives him so much confidence.
That's what Nate George told us today, how much he has learned from Damon Stoudemire. And Nate George told us, even if I wasn't going to play, I wanted to come to Georgia Tech to learn from Damon Stoudemire and this coaching staff.
It's just amazing what happens when you play with confidence.
McKneely, a deep one, knocks it down.
But that's a freshman mistake there. You know the scouting report on McKneely is you got to get out there, close out. George late, hands in the pocket. And McKneely made him pay for it.
Kelly cannot answer. What a first half finish for Virginia at home in the regular season finale. Virginia is 9th of the ACC regular season. For Tony Bennett, they are assured of a top 4 seed in next week's ACC tournament and a double bye. If they win, they get the 3. Pitt is winning right now at home against NC State by double figures. If Pitt wins, it gets a double bye as well. Clemson is clinging to a little bit of hope, but those are the stakes in the final hour. Jake Groves left it short from deep. Gapari the rebound. What do you need to see from Georgia Tech down 14?
One, you got to take care of the basketball, and you have to get up shots. Get into your offense, it's fine. They got to come, like George there, come off the screen, use it. You know they're going to hedge it. Get the pocket pass and get the ball inside. I think Ndongo has to do a better job of getting low position like that so the defense can't help.
He's got a dozen. That is a good start for one of the best freshmen in the ACC.
Thought he did a great job of getting it low. As Georgia Tech's extending their pressure. Dunn did a really good job in the first half of pushing them out a little bit further, making them have to dribble. The guards were able to dig, create a couple of turnovers. That time, Ndongo got low position, quick spin baseline for easy deuce.
Tain Murray starts the second half. Groves cans a triple.
You got to switch that. I think when they curl into the lane on the Grove side, you got to know personnel. Grove is going to hurt you by popping out the 3, and I think that's why David Stoudemire's calling timeout. He's upset with that. You communicate with that. You talk about it. Tight curl there, putting pressure on your D. You got to know personnel because Groves makes you play. 3, corner pocket. Wahoo's up 15.
Tournament in Washington, D.C. Again, Virginia knows it's going to have a double bye. Got a couple of days off before debuting in D.C. Pitt, if it hangs on, will have a double bye as well. And what a job by Jeff Capel this year.
I think it's been some excellent coaching jobs this year. Jeff has continued to make a late push to put his team in, and guys like he and Tony Bennett, and I think Adrian Autry and Hubert Davis, they'll split up votes for ACC Coach of the Year, and you can make an argument that all of those guys are deserving. They've had great years with their teams.
17-3 for North Carolina, outright champs, and they sweep Duke with tonight's 84-79 win at Cameron. David Stoudemire was not happy, so he went to the bench. Debo Coleman came in, and Baye Ndongo draws a foul on the rebounding action against Ryan Dunn.
Hubert Davis is liking that rivalry a little bit. He's making things a little lopsided.
No kidding.
Man, he's having his way.
John Shire apologized to the crazies after the game. He said, we're going to get this thing right. Ndongo to the line. He's got 12. Nobody else for Georgia Tech with more than 6. Hey, tomorrow, ACC Wrestling Championship from Carmichael in Chapel Hill. Coverage of the final starts at 7 Eastern right here on ACCN and the ESPN app. You're talking about Coach of the Year. I think Freshman of the Year is going to be very interesting.
It is.
Baye Ndongo's got a case. Bub Carrington's got a case. Marcus Burton at Notre Dame and Jared McCain at Duke. I think those are probably the top 4.
They are. I think it'll be a shorter list than that with Bub Carrington and Marcus Burton and McCain, and those guys will split up a lot of votes.
Who would you go with?
That's the one award. So many times I associate things with winning, but I think as a freshman when you come in and the impact that you have. I like Bub Carrington early. I thought he ran away with it. I think he came back to the pack. Some of that, and it helped his team improve.
Ndongo up top from George, and a rookie connection right there.
Great job by Tech now. They're extending their pressure, speeding it up. You got to beat this UVA team down the court. They scored earlier in transition and started settling in the half court a little bit much.
So who's your vote going to? Finish it up.
I knew you were going to try to put me on the spot. You see me trying to bypass that? You going to call me on? I tried to move on from it. And
Dunn contested at the rim by Ndongo. We still don't have an answer. Here's Sturdivant dropping it out for George. He attacks and finishes, and Nate George has brought Georgia Tech back to single digits here the first 3 minutes of the second half.
Keep him in drag screens and keep him in transition so Beekman stays off of him so he can have an easier time getting in the paint. They need him in the paint.
Real quick, drag screens are what?
Just a big or even a guard coming when he's pushing it in transition. Just come set a screen. You can't allow Reece Beekman to stay on him because just physically as a senior, just make the game easier for him.
McKneely Too strong. Tipped out by Dunn to Beekman. Wide open Murray. Hits another. How about the night for Tane Murray?
Making you pay, and now he's in double figure scoring. And you don't plan on that when you're scouting your team. You didn't expect Murray to come in. We know he's capable of it. But you did
taken away
expect
by
this.
Beekman with the flush.
That's what I'm saying about the experience of Beekman on the ball, creating that turnover against George. You just give him a rub screen or something to get Reece Beekman off of him.
Reeves attacks and drew a foul on Jake Groves. Beekman has done everything. 15 points, 6 assists, no turnovers, and now 3 steals.
And he just wears you down, and that's all I'm saying with George. He's a talented freshman, but there's just not many ball hawks like Reece Beekman with his long arms, plays bigger than his size, physically just super strong. He wears you down. And
Reeves good on the first. Wednesday night, number 10, Alabama softball squares off against 16th ranked Florida State. Lonnie Alameda's team in Tallahassee. Coverage starts at 7 Eastern and also available on the ESPN app. Reece Beekman, is he on your first team All-ACC?
he better be on everyone's first team.
I agree.
I don't think if you don't have Reece Beekman on the first team for what he's done to this team, then you're I'm gonna have to call Commissioner Phillips on you. I gotta revoke I gotta get some people voting privileges revoked on that one. I think he's definitely one of the top 5 players in this league. I don't think that's an argument.
McKneely straight on. 10-3 for Virginia.
You knew it was coming. It was a matter of time that they were going to start making some shots.
10 for 20 from long range. 3 of those triples from Isaac McKneely. IMAC. Post entry. A double now on Ndongo from Groves. And the shot clock winding down. Reeves off the skip. Driving on Murray. Tough shot, way too strong. Shot clock didn't reset, and then Ndongo got fouled by Buchanan, who's got 3. 5 minutes into the second half, it's Virginia up by 15 at home. One of the most entertaining personalities on this fun Georgia Tech team this year has been the Florida transfer, Kawasi Reeves, a guy who is interested in Japanese culture and also has the ever-changing hair colors. Not just hairstyles, but hair colors. So he's got a little bit of blue in there that you can see above that headband tonight. He's had blue at other times this year. He's had some gold in there. Maybe a little blonde, you would call it. He's had a wide array of everything. What's that, like cotton candy?
Yeah, I mean, we use the same hair coloring, as you can imagine. I mean,
what would you call this color?
I would say blonde. You would call it something different.
I was thinking light brown, maybe?
No, there's no such thing as light brown. That's like a...
Peanut butter?
No, there isn't a mocha or peanut butter hair color. It's blonde. That's all we're gonna leave it at blonde.
Who made you the arbiter on these things?
Because all the hair I have, I use a lot of product in my hair.
When was the last time you had hair?
I shave 3 times a week, twice a week.
So 5 days a week, you got some.
Yeah, or 3. Who's counting?
He is the follically challenged Randolph Childress. I'm Mike Monaco, our entire crew behind the scenes. First 5 minutes, second half, McKneely got bumped and fouled by Miles Kelly. Late shot clock with only 7 left in that possession for Virginia.
Things are opening up when McKneely and Murray and these guys are coming off that pin down. It just takes less pressure off Reece Beekman to have to create off the bounce and makes this Virginia offense a little less predictable.
Offense has looked great tonight for Tony Bennett's group against the Jackets.
And this is the same team that went on a winning streak in the middle of the year that was playing as well as anyone in this league.
Minor couldn't finish off the feed from Murray. Yeah, they had the 8-game winning streak before dropping 4 out of 6 coming into this one. Kapari wide open, short-armed it, and run down by Groves. By the way, Ryan Dunn for Virginia went down the tunnel, came back. Right now he's on the bike, moving slowly on the stationary bike about halfway down the tunnel for the Cavaliers. A drop off for Minor. Against Ndongo, he finishes.
And if Virginia can continue this lead and extend it, we may not see Ryan Dunn.
Up by 16 early on in this second half. Biggest lead for Virginia tonight. Kapari the catch. And back out for Kelly. Coleman skipped it. Good catch. Ndongo couldn't finish. Got his own miss and the follow.
So active. Great hands. Active. Upset with himself. He missed the first one, but he is so fun to watch. And motor's always running.
Game high 19 for Baye Ndongo, the rookie from Senegal.
Future's bright in Midtown for these guys. I mean, you get a big, two of the most important positions you need to have, and it's a quality athletic big and a high IQ point guard, and Georgia Tech has both of those.
Murray swirled one out, and then Ndongo ripped down the rebound to Kelly. Yeah, a lot to like about Damon Stoudemire's group going forward. We told you they're going to be either the 12 or the 13 seed in the ACC tournament, which will start for them on Tuesday. Coleman rises, spins out for the junior.
Georgia Tech is missing shots, but they're just showing you still, even against an elite defense like Virginia, that middle ball screen is so difficult to defend when you got a big that can catch it and finish and pass like they do.
McKneely in the mid-range.
Well, now they're scoring off a pin down. They got everything open, and that's what makes this team so dangerous. When McKneely's chipping in and they have their wings scoring, they're not predictable now. They're not just relying on a Reece Beekman ball screen.
11 for Isaac McKneely. Sturdivant for Coleman. And back out for the fifth-year senior, Kyle Sturdivant. Off the bounce on McKneely. Step back. Nearly went for Sturdivant. Beekman off the screen from Minor. Tried to slip it to him, but a turnover. And only the fourth one for the Cavaliers. And Ryan Dunn returns, and that's a welcome sight for the Who's faithful.
Reece Beekman talking to coach about it, gets a quick breather, and you have got to hedge and keep him out of the paint. You can't play in drop coverage and sit in the paint against him, because he's so physically gifted. He's going to put that guard on his hip and not let him get in front and make an easy pass or shoot his mid-range shot. Georgia Tech's going to have to change their defense to keep him out of the paint.
Yeah, Reece Beekman has carved up Georgia Tech with 8 assists and only that first turnover. George, sans headband now. Kapari went up at the rim against Buchanan.
He lost that battle. He didn't know where he was and got caught underneath the rim and couldn't finish.
Harris off the crossover. Snakes underneath and back out for McKneely. Murray off the screen on a night where we haven't seen Andrew Rohde at all for Virginia. Guy who's normally been in their starting lineup. The St. Thomas transfer. Kelly, tough step back. Couldn't bury the triple.
And you can't. You're down 16. You still want to work your offense. There's a lot of time left. You don't want to get into one pass, quick shots against this team. You'll find yourself down by 20 in a hurry.
It's 1 for 13 from 3 for Georgia Tech. Last 3 games, they had knocked down 33 combined threes. Shot clock at 5. McKneely, tough shot.
They're just running their offense now. They have it all going. They're getting the mid-range shots. They're getting to the rim. They're 10 of 21 from behind the three-point line. We know this team is going to defend. They're one of the best defensive teams in the country. But this was a team that we saw that was a top 25 team in the country, because now their offensive identity is starting to take shape.
George, well defended by Harris, and then Dunn snagged that one away.
He looked healthy on that one.
Sure did. Virginia entered tonight with an offense rating nationally at 191, according to Ken Pom, in offensive efficiency. There's Harris off the window. The lead is 20 for Virginia.
You see Harris here driving with the lay off the glass. Wahoo's with the largest lead of the night, up 20 here at home.
When you're great, your game does the talking. In the ACC, ours speaks volumes. 3 of the last 8 NCAA championships. 99 NCAA tournament wins since 2015. 8 NCAA titles in the last 22.
Live from Greensboro, Sunday at noon on ESPN.
NC State, Notre Dame coming tomorrow on the women's side in the championship. Meanwhile, on the men's side here in Charlottesville, Virginia, Reece Beekman and the Cavaliers up by 20 on Georgia Tech. Randolph Childers, Mike Monaco, our entire crew with you. And Reece Beekman has been phenomenal tonight.
He's going out like a first-team All-ACC guy you would expect. He's had a heck of a career here, and I don't think Tony Bennett, they told us they didn't know what they had until they got him, and then they got him and it was like, wow, he's even better than we thought he was. And
he's had a special senior season with so much on his plate this year as the guy for Virginia. They're up big. Shot clock winding down. It's a double on Ndongo. Skips it out of the post. Start of it. Sinks a 3.
Time is now for this Tech team. They're going to try to extend their pressure. Full court man. They've got to get stops.
Virginia shot 54% from the floor, and we've told you they've knocked down 10 threes, and they've only turned it over 4 times. They're one of the best in the country at that. That is last touched by George, so it stays with the Cavaliers with 10 left to shoot.
Yeah, Beekman turned down a shot there. I thought he had the layup, and
Murray off the screen. Now Ndongo's out on him. Beekman trying to get it. Sturdivant defends. Beekman behind the back. Murray, shot fake out of the corner. Can't hit. And a good clear out from Debo Coleman. And who's it belong to? It stays at this end with Virginia as Coleman jockeyed with Blake Buchanan.
that time I thought Georgia Tech did a really good job. They switched. Hadn't done that a lot during the course of the night.
Ndongo came out on him.
Great box out there. Just got to go after the ball. I think Debo Coleman has a point. That went off Blake Buchanan's hand last, it looked like.
Agreed. Flare, here's Beekman. Defended by Claude. Beekman off 2 feet, scores again, and he's got 17 on his senior night.
Great switch there, but you got to keep him out of the middle of the paint.
George off the bounce for Claude. And now Ndongo leading the way with 19 points and 6 rebounds. Harris nearly swiped it, and it is a Jackets turnover. Their 11th.
We talk about Harris. That's what he does. That's also what he can provide. We talk about Reece Beekman on ball, but Harris is a really good on-ball defender himself. Had the foot injury early in the year, and it's taken him a while to get himself into shape and play the way Tony Bennett wants his lead guards to play.
Yeah, almost 2 months with that ankle injury for Dante Harris. Here's Murray. Spinning and hitting. It has been Teen Murray's night. He's got a dozen. Career highs 14 for him a couple years ago against Iowa. Traveling the call on Ndongo, and another Georgia Tech turnover. Everything coming up Virginia in the home finale on the final day of the regular season. And how about the unexpected sources? Tain Murray delivering.
He's dishing to open teammates there. Getting the assist, even though Murray did most of the work. McKneely getting in, but here just crossing over, laying it off, finding everyone. Minor gets the beneficiary of that one there and dominating the game, and was upset with his only turnover that he had.
Virginia leads by 21. They've shot 54% from the floor. That would be their second highest this season. For a team this year that has been sub 50 points in 6 games, what's different today?
Well, everybody's involved. It's a confidence thing, too. I mean, you're not going to win games. They don't play at a pace to score 80 points. And it's hard for you to do that against them. Now, when you play against them, you would always say, hey, it's the first one to 55. This is how they play the game. But when they're struggling right now, they're used to having 2 point guards with Kihei Clark and Reece Beekman. They've missed Harris for so length of time. And when Harris isn't healthy, so much fell on Beekman, and both ends of the floor, they struggled.
Shot clock winding down. Harris somehow found Buchanan, and a block by Ndongo, and a shot clock violation.
Harris must have heard me talking about him, saying how he creates great pass there to Buchanan, and Baye Ndongo's not having any of that as he snatches that right out of the air. Wow.
He has been doing his part, trying to will Georgia Tech against Virginia.
Yeah, he's been a one-man band here tonight. He's done his part. Sturdivant
dumped it off for Claude, and he got fouled by Ryan Dunn. But scoring below 50 in the 6 games this year for Virginia offensively, they're most games below 50 in any season since the 1940s. And this does not look like that offense that we've seen for a lot of this season.
This looks like the team that won 8 straight games during the year that was ranked in the top 25.
Hey, the 71st annual ACC men's tournament starts Tuesday afternoon in DC, and all 3 first-round games are right here on ACC Network. So what of this can you bottle up and take with you to DC and try to secure that spot in the NCAA tournament?
The great thing is you got offensive contributions from other guys. McKneely has it going. You know, Groves has knocked down shots. Harris has had moments. Murray's knocking down shots. They just got a contribution from everybody, and that's what they're going to need if they want to win a couple of games in the ACC tournament. I think they're in the tournament, but again, judging off what Lenard and other guys are saying, they're right there on the bubble. I think this team is in and definitely taking care of business here tonight.
It's a quad 3 game. Certainly could not afford a quad 3 loss. They've been perfect in quads 3 and 4 this year at a combined 13-0. And again, if you're just joining us, Joe Lunardi did say coming into this game, his second to last team in. Tony Bennett was talking with us earlier today, and he said to feel good about it, you do feel like you got to win a couple of games in DC.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that they can ill afford to lose to one of the teams early on. So now getting the double bye, you have no idea, you know, of who you're going to play. And that's the issue, you know. So if you get into the tournament, a loss against Clemson or Duke of Carolina wouldn't hurt Virginia. But they can ill afford to get upset by someone that's in the lower seeding in the ACC tournament.
And let's just say this too. You and I both agree that 22-9 and 13-7 in the ACC,
they're in.
Should not be a bubble team.
No.
Reeves, no. Ndongo couldn't corral it. Does stay with Georgia Tech.
If you're a Virginia fan, they're taking care of business tonight. You know, Tony will sleep a lot easier knowing his team took care of business tonight.
George.
Or taking care of business tonight, I think. I think they're well in control of this game. Coming back from 20 down against Virginia is a difficult challenge.
Beekman, why not with his 3rd 3, and he's got 21 to match a career high.
Let's break it on senior night. Why not? Last game at home. Let's go for a career high.
Ndongo, the turnaround, he's got 21 as well. Again, Tony Bennett said to us today, I do think Reece Beekman is underappreciated. I think he's really grown offensively, and he's got so much on his plate that he is doing for the Hoos this year. And by all accounts, looking like they're going to be the 3rd best team in the ACC, and he has steered that ship.
He's willed this team in. I mean, this isn't the most talented team Tony Bennett has had. There are a lot of moving parts, a lot to figure out. This team has had its moments. They've come together early, and they've struggled some shooting, and that happens when you're relying on guys to make perimeter shots.
Sturdivant kicks it out. So you've said Reece Beekman is on your first team All-ACC.
He better be on yours.
He's on mine as well. Ballots are due tomorrow.
He better be on yours.
So you got who? You got R.J. Davis, P.J. Hall, Salas, I would assume.
Hunter Salas, Reece Beekman, and Filipowski.
Got it. That's your 5.
That's my 5.
So Baycott, Hinson, guys like that, probably on the second team.
I think it's Baycott to me, not because of just his play. I think his sacrifice offensively is the reason that team is as successful as they are.
Yeah, good point.
While all the other guys, Harrison Ingram and Cormac Ryan and all those guys are going. So it's not an indictment against Armando Baycott, because I think they have national championship potential. And him picking his moments, he's had all the accolades. They don't mean anything else to him. Hanging a banner in Carolina will be big for him. And so first team All-ACC isn't a big deal for him. I say that not to slight him.
Kowacie Reeves just banked in a 3. Only the 3rd 3-point make for Georgia Tech in this game as we hit 4 to go in the regular season finale across the ACC. Harris, reverse. You said it, everyone's been involved for the Cavaliers.
This is why. This is the best version of UVA.
Ndongo off the pick and roll, and now moved for Sturdivant. A slip from Claude, extra pass, Sturdivant. Back iron, rebound down to McKneely.
It's a good offensive possession there by the Yellow Jackets. But they're not getting the ball in the paint. The ball, they did a great job of changing sides, but they're still not penetrating the paint of this against this defense.
Beekman back out for Harris. Off target, and the rebound, Sturdivant. Reeves the transition triple. Couldn't hit it. Ndongo went soaring for the offensive rebound, and George couldn't make them pay.
And this Georgia Tech shooting from the 3-point line is not their strength. They're streaky. When they're making them, they make a lot. But on average, they're just a 33% 3-point shooting team. And Kowacie Reeves and Miles Kelly are the 2 guys that got to get going from behind the line, and they both are struggling here tonight.
Harris missed it on the reverse. Subs getting ready to come in on both sides, and the crowd is starting to chant for senior walk-on Tristan Howe. And Damon Stoudemire will take a timeout. We'll take it as well. 2:24 to go, and this has been Reece Beekman's night. Senior night. 4-year career that has been sterling on the grounds, and he has piloted Virginia. Call me a sucker, but man, I always get chills watching these ceremonies.
You're a sucker, but it's okay. They're great. No, it's always tough. You get guys that mean so much in so many programs, and every now and then you come across a really special one, and Reece Beekman is one of those guys, and it's great for him. He's got an all-time great, the greatest player in this program history, sitting courtside watching him, and Ralph Sampson here tonight.
How about the majors for Beekman? American Studies. Jordan Miner coming in from Merrimack, a master's in education, a master's for Groves, and his 1 year on the grounds. And Tristan Howe, public policy and leadership for the 6'7" senior walk-on, who we're probably going to see at some point in the last 209. Sturdivant hits.
Let's hope we see him, you know, in today's game. I mean, with the metrics, they matter, and they matter for BC. I mean, for Georgia Tech and for UVA.
McKneely takes it over the timeline, and the student section intensifies with chants for Tristan Howe. Pitt, by the way, hung on despite the best efforts of NC State down the stretch. So Pitt clinches a double bye, and should Virginia finish this out and win, they'll be the 3, and Pitt will be the 4. McKneely no. Ndongo soars. 90 seconds to go in the ACC regular season.
I can't tell you how impressive that rebound is. He's rebounding the ball at his highest point. You know, it's something you just got to appreciate.
Coleman follows up the Ndongo miss and got fouled as well. Yeah, it is really impressive from Baye Ndongo. So Georgia Tech about to finish out year one in the ACC for Damon Stoudemire. We told you about the high-end wins. 5 of their 7 ACC wins against top-half teams. Then you got other close calls in there as well, where they've led by double digits in 3 of their ACC losses, including at Duke by 10 in the second half. First meeting against Virginia, led BC by 16. This is a team that has 4 quad 1 wins. That's as many or more than 9 teams in the top 25. It's been really impressive what he's done this year.
Oh, it has, and they've just struggled in learning how to win and close out those games, and they did a better job of that. You know, in the last couple of games, they had a 3-game winning streak coming into tonight. A lot to build on. Recruiting's going well. Great staff. A lot to be excited for the Yellow Jackets and turning this program around. I think the 3 coaches that the ACC, the first-year head coaches, have all been home runs. I think Autry should be in the Coach of the Year conversation. Micah Shrewsbury, I think, is a stud.
And how about this? After the 3, Tony Bennett's taking a timeout, and he's going to make a sub. Tristan Howe's coming in, and he's replacing Reece Beekman. Mom Julie has been vocal, and she was on the court pregame. She gets to watch her son head off the court here in Charlottesville.
And tying a career high with 21 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds. I asked Tony Bennett today, what are you going to do now? You're going to have to coach a game here without Kihei Clark and Reece Beekman, man. Like, what are you going to do?
Jake Groves gets an ovation as well. Guy who started his career as a walk-on at Eastern Washington with his brother Tanner. 3 years ago, dazzled in the NCAA Tournament against Kansas. 2 years at Oklahoma. And this season here at Virginia. Jordan Minor exits as well. The Merrimack grad transfer. And here is Howe, the senior walk-on from Virginia Beach. Oh, it's a fall away! And look at the selling! You gotta love it! Coleman responds with a 3. Tristan Howe, a guy who was recruited by some non-D1 schools, but wanted to come here. He gets his moment on senior night as well.
Nothing gets a better reaction than the walk-on scoring, and that's one thing I think I hope we adjust the metrics so we can get more moments like that. Great performance here by Virginia.
And they mob the walk-on Tristan Howe.